What's up, YouTube? How you doing? Good to see y'all. Y'all think guilty, vote guilty. Yeah, what are we doing? I was just watching the movie Crash from 2004. Are you kidding me? That was 20 years ago? I still think of that as a new movie. But what did I just had to turn it off to come onto the stream, but the last thing I heard was a black guy telling he was calling a Hispanic woman Mexican, and she said, "Hey, let me tell you something, pal. My mother is from Puerto Rico. My father was from El Salvador. Neither of those countries are Mexico." And the guy says, "Well, I guess the real question is who gathered up all of those fantastic cultures and taught them all how to park their cars on their lawns." Oh, which was funny. Yeah, Crash though, brilliant film. LA. Anyone want the film? Let me know. I'm gonna upload it to Dropbox and send you all a link because it's a good movie. It's a good movie. Brendan Fraser, Sandra Bullock, Matt Dillon. He's fantastic. Yeah, but no one's got a starring role, really. It's one of those movies where it's just a kind of day in the life, right? But anyway, enough of that. What are we doing here tonight? We're looking at not Sigfredo Garcia. Man, wouldn't it be great to get some deep dive content of Sigfredo? I doubt we'll ever hear from him. He's the one guy in this whole story who seems to have accepted his fate and is standing by the snitches get stitches kind of rule, right? Everyone else is either maintaining innocence or testifying in their own defense, or, he's stone cold. He just took it, not going to testify, not going to snitch, and I'm just going to do my life sentence and make a life for myself behind bars. Which he seems to be doing, huh? Anyway, where is our video tonight? And welcome everybody in the chat. Lolly77, Debbie H, T Cancella. I see you guys. Veronica Sawyer, nice to see you. Veronica Sawyer. Yeah, I think I remember you from the Mark Twain classic. What are we doing here? Share video file. Sounds good. What are we saying? Desktop.
All rise. Close second set.
Is that an issue, Mr. Kappelman?
Just wanted to bring to the court's attention that the next witness is going to be Mr. Rivera. I anticipate that he will be a lengthy witness. I'm particularly anticipating
He will be a lengthy witness. We've got a 1 hour video today, which should take us about 2 to get through. That's part 1, folks. Part 1 only.
lengthy cross, but that being said, this is the last witness that I have brought for the day, and I don't want to be in a posture where I run out, so I was looking for a little guidance from the court. Would it be okay if we end with him today, even if it's a little earlier? Or would your preference be that I get some more folks up here?
I don't have any doubt that he's going to at least take up the rest of the day.
Okay, I think so
Don't
too.
need any other witnesses. Right?
Didn't want to get in trouble.
Is that all?
That's it.
Okay.
Your Honor, before Mr. Rivera testifies, if I could make just some legal objections that I don't want to have to do in the presence of the jury.
You may.
The first objection that I'm going to have at this time is that it's our position that the state, even taking into light most evidence to them, has failed to establish that by a preponderance of evidence of conspiracy, that involves Ms. McDaniel, so that at this point, we would say that any co-conspirator hearsay statements should not be admissible, because the court is, I'm sure the court is aware that the contents of the statements cannot be used in determining if there is a conspiracy, and at this point, it would be our position that they have failed to do so. That's our first objection, Your Honor. Do you want to move before I move on to the second?
Yes.
Okay.
What?
Oh, I was like, do you want me to wait for you to rule before I move on to the second topic?
Certainly.
The second topic, Judge, is I'm just asking, I'll do an ora tennis motion to compel in terms of if the state is aware of any change in testimony by Mr. Rivera in terms of what he's going to testify today, if they're aware of any statements that have changed, they are under an obligation under the rules of discovery to let us know before he takes
Direct
the stand.
obligation.
So I would just ask if they are aware of any, they just let us know before he testifies, and that's the second thing.
Kaplan, which is the second issue.
The second issue, I'm aware of my continuing discovery obligation and my obligations under Brady, and I'm not aware of any new items to disclose at this time.
Okay. And let me say to counsel, when we break, I always ask if there are any issues from you. What I want you to do is bring up issues then, so we don't have the jury sitting back there waiting on us. The idea is we'll use our time to resolve issues while the jury's taking a break. So let's try to abide by that. If you have an issue, you know who's next. Let's take it up at the end of the testimony before we take a break while the jury's having their break. Let's have Mr. Rivera in, please. Have a seat, sir. Let's have a jury, please.
All rise for the jury.
You remain. What I see everybody, that's you remain. All right, everybody but the witness, have a seat, please.
It's kind of funny when the judge speaks to Luis Rivera, no? I mean, obviously, the judge thinks he's scum, right? But still, we're in court. You're a witness. And there's this respect thing. There's this really bizarre thing that happens in court where it's like, listen, we're respecting being in the court. So that means respect is extended to where it needs to be extended to. And, you know, it's like all that stuff about, hey, I'm a judge, you're a criminal. That goes away almost. It's kind of cool.
You'd face the clerk to raise your right hand and be sworn, please, sir. Have a seat. Slide up the microphone, please, sir. May proceed, Ms. Kaplan.
Sir, please say your name and spell your name.
Luis Rivera.
Slide forward a little closer to that microphone, please, sir.
Luis Rivera. Liusrivera.
Yes, he said Lius. Lius.
How old are you, Mr. Rivera?
36.
Are you currently incarcerated?
Yes, ma'am.
And where are you currently incarcerated?
36, man. I mean, that is... It's 36?
And I'm in the feds.
With the feds?
Federal prison.
I'm in the feds. I'm in the feds.
Okay. And are you serving a sentence currently for both this case and an unrelated federal case?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you plead to in this case that we're here about today?
19 years.
All right, but what charge did you plead to?
Second degree murder.
All right, 19 years in prison,
Yes, ma'am.
and you're serving that concurrent with your federal sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
How long is the federal sentence?
12 and a half.
All right. And what did you have to do in exchange for your 19-year sentence in this case?
Cooperate.
All right.
I don't know, there's somebody can't put this together. Every time we move this thing, it's a problem, so.
And Mr. Rivera, if you could pull up just a.
Hey, Veronica, thanks so much for becoming a member of True Crime Metrix. Good to see you and good to have you aboard our merry member team.
A little bit closer.
I mean, I've been having fun with some of the other witnesses.
Yes, sir.
Say something more.
All right, Mr. Rivera, you said that you had to cooperate in exchange for the testimony.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And what does cooperate mean to you?
Say nothing but the truth.
Has anybody told you what to say?
No, ma'am.
Anybody tried to tell you what the truth is?
No, ma'am.
Anybody tried to tell?
And I love the way Kappelman can talk to Lewis kind of on his level, you know? She's just got a way to do that, but still maintain her position, but relate to Luis Rivera, right? I mean, she's like, yo, yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Tell you any particular fact you need to include in your testimony in order to get,
Not at all.
okay, in order to get anything,
No, ma'am.
any benefit?
No, ma'am.
Did I ever have any private meetings with you before you decided to cooperate with law enforcement?
Not at all.
Did you
Not at all. Not at all.
have an attorney to represent you through the process where you cooperated and entered a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your lawyers ever tell you what you needed to say to get a deal?
No, ma'am.
Were you ever told that you had to implicate a specific person?
Yeah, I love the filter too. One of our top guys, was it Derek earlier? Said, oh, must you with the filter? I love the filter, man. You know, we've all seen these videos so many times. I think it's refreshing to have something new and different. So we're sticking with it. Sorry you don't like it, Derek, but we hope you stay aboard, man. You're one of our most valued participants in this show.
In order to get cooperation in this case?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything other than what we just discussed, the 19 years concurrent with the federal sentence?
No, ma'am.
Have you been promised anything on your federal case in exchange for your time?
Pretty sweet deal, though, huh? I mean, it does seem remarkable. You're doing 12 years or 12 and a half years, but you call it 12 years. You're doing 12 years. We're going to give you 19 for this. We're going to take it down to second-degree murder, and we're going to give you 19, and you can serve concurrently. So it's just another 7 on top of the 12 that you're already doing. You're going to be doing 12 whether you help us or not. But if you help us, we'll give you just another 7 years. And if you've done 12 years in prison, what's another 7? I mean, you're already more than halfway there. That is a sweet deal. And I'd say almost unprecedented. I mean, it's an amazing deal.
Testimony here today.
Not at all.
Were you already serving a sentence on the federal case when law enforcement first came to talk to you about this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And you also have pending violations of probation out of Miami, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
For possession of a firearm by a convicted felon?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have not yet been sentenced on that?
Not at all.
And is that up to a potential 15 additional years in prison?
I believe so.
And also a possession of cocaine with intent to sell, do you have that open as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that another additional 15 years of prison that you could potentially face once you're done with all of this?
Does anybody know what's going on with this? I mean, you know, in my mind, Luis Rivera is getting out in just another 10 short years. But if he's got another 30 years on top of that, Man, that's rough.
Probably.
All right. And have you been promised anything in reference to those other charges out of Miami?
Not at all.
Where were you living back in 2014?
I was in Miami. I was living with Jessica.
All right. And was Jessica at 130 Fifth Street? 130 Fifth Street
Yes,
in North
ma'am.
Miami.
Yes, ma'am.
That sound right? Do you know Sigfredo Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know Sigfredo Garcia?
Childhood, we grew up together.
And when you say that, was it like since you were what age?
Like 5, 6 around there.
Okay, were your families close?
5 or 6 years old. Can you imagine Sigfredo and Luis Rivera at 5 or 6 years old? I bet that was adorable. You know, what were they doing? A lot of coke, you know, boosting cars, boosting radios out of cars.
To each other?
I didn't know each other.
Did you grow up in the same neighborhood?
Yes, ma'am.
Go to the same schools?
Yes, ma'am.
Run with the same crowd?
Yes, ma'am.
Does Mr. Garcia have any nicknames?
Just Tuto.
Tuto? What, have you ever heard the term Tuto Dade?
Tuto Day?
Yeah.
Nah.
About, let me ask you, like back around the time that this crime occurred, 2004.
Yeah, I guess when you're living in Miami-Dade County, there's no need for a differentiator of Tuto Dade. No, not at all. Not at all.
14. How often did you hang out with Mr. Garcia during that time frame?
We hang out pretty close every day.
All right. And you mentioned a Jessica. Who's that?
That's my ex-baby mama. Well,
Your
my baby
ex?
mama.
She's the mother of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And that's who you were living with around the time of this homicide?
Yes, ma'am.
What about Catherine Magbanoa? Do you know her?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know her?
Garcia's wife.
All right. And is he legally married to her?
That I knew, yeah.
You thought he was?
Yeah, I thought he was.
Okay. And do they have children together?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And does she go by any nicknames?
Just Katie.
Katie?
Yeah, we just call her Katie.
All right. And was Catherine Magbanoa somebody around, and I'm referring to the time leading up to this homicide, say 6 months leading up to the homicide. Is that somebody that you would talk to on the phone?
Bearing in mind, guys, he's testifying in the joint trial of Sigfredo Garcia and Katie Magbanoa, who must have thought, man, if there was ever a cat that's not going to roll, it's Luis Rivera, right? I mean, yeah, he's solid. He's solid. Never going to roll. Code of silence. Latin King. Man, he rolled like a roly-poly moly holy. You know, it just rolled right down the hill. I mean, you know, first chance he got. And smart, you know, fuck all that honor and loyalty shit. If you're facing a murder charge, man, roll like your life depends on it, because it surely does, okay? Fuck all that honor and loyalty shit.
Catherine
Nah,
Magbanoa?
like speak to her?
Yes.
No.
Would you see her socially?
I see her, but I gotta see Garcia.
So when you saw her, would she always be with Garcia? Or did you have a separate relationship with her?
No, she would be with Garcia. I would never had no.
Okay. I guess I'm just trying to establish, did you have a friendship with her independent of knowing Garcia, or was she just Garcia's woman to you?
That was Garcia's woman.
Okay. How much time would you say you spent around the two of them socially, them like as a couple?
I mean, I was always around Garcia, but you know, everybody do their own thing.
Okay. Would you say you saw them socially more than 10 times in your life?
Yeah, of course.
Was the nature of
Luis Rivera is the anti-hero of this story, right? He's a bad dude, did some fucked up shit, you know. He was one of the guys that was, you know, driving the Prius to kill Professor Markel, which we all agree was a really bad thing. But, you know, is there anyone among us that doesn't kind of like the guy? You know? and was instrumental in the convictions of additional parties, but he just comes across well, doesn't he?
Magbanua and Garcia's relationship such that they were always together, steady, or did they tend to break up and get back
They
together?
were on and off.
Do you know what their status was of their relationship at the time that Dan Markel was killed?
Only thing I knew that she was dating the dentist. That's about it.
You did not know she was dating the dentist?
No,
Or you
she
did?
was dating.
You
dating.
did. Okay, so they were kind of off at that time.
Yeah, they were off.
All right. I want to show you some photographs, which I've marked as states 45 and 46. Ask if you
Lego person says, but he didn't roll on the Latin Kings. He wasn't asked to. It's not relevant, you know. What does he got to roll on the Latin Kings for in this case? On the federal charge, on the racketeering charge, that's a separate issue. You know, he rolled on this case because it was the one that was most beneficial to him to roll on. So
recognize.
Yes, ma'am.
and the biggest threat to him, I mean, he was facing the death penalty on this. I don't know if he would have got it or not, but that was an option for him on this murder charge, right?
How do you recognize states 45 and 46?
I think we were going out to the club that day.
Are these photographs?
Yes, ma'am.
Who are they photographs of? Let's start with 45. This
Me, Jessica, Luther, and Katie.
all right. And are these fair and accurate photographs of the four of you?
Yeah.
Is this a photograph taken when the four of y'all were hanging out socially?
Yeah.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to introduce some evidence, States Exhibit 45.
Any objection?
None from the defense. None from Garcia.
All right, it'll be admitted.
Only objection, Judge, is there's no time frame that's been established for that photograph.
You have an idea when these were taken, Mr. Rivera? Do you have
when
any
this
time
Oh.
idea of when these photos were shown?
I can't remember. I can't remember.
sometime prior to the homicide that we're here about?
Shit. No, I don't think so.
You think it could have been after?
Probably after.
Objection?
I'll just rest my objection on that. He said he doesn't know when that actually.
I'll overrule the objection and admit States Exhibit 45.
And States Exhibit 46, what is that a photo of?
Me and Garcia.
Right, and do you know when that photo was taken?
No, not really.
Okay, is that the two of y'all hanging out together socially?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, and are the two of you,
Anne-Marie Marion says he is telling the truth, unlike the rest of them. Yeah, well, he does appear to be. But there are a few developments, evolutions in the way he tells the truth. And we'll be, excuse me, we'll be trying to get through all of his 3 trial testimonies before we start Donna's next week. You know, it's quite a lot to get through, but there are strange changes in his story. Nothing major, nothing about the actual events that are concerned, that we're concerned with, really. But, you know, just the surrounding information kind of evolves. And is that memory? I mean, there's some pretty drastic changes, like the picture of the owl changes to a lion. What the fuck is that about?
I guess if you know, what is your height? What is your height and Mr. Garcia's height?
I'm 5'4". He's like 6'1".
You're 5'4" and he's
5'4". I swear to God as well, Sigfredo is taller than 6'1". I'm 6'1", and I know if I was standing next to Sigfredo Garcia, he'd be taller than me and wider. I mean, you know, you just get that sense with someone, right? I know if I was standing next to Sigfredo, he'd be at least 2 inches taller than me. He's 6'3" minimum. And Luis Rivera, 5'4", fucking short, man.
6'1"?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that demonstrated in that photo?
Yeah,
Is that fair and accurate depiction of the difference in y'all's height?
of course. He just leaning down a little bit, but he's tall.
Alright, Judge, at this time I'd ask to introduce an evidence states 46.
Any objection?
Yes, Judge, he indicated he wasn't sure when that photograph was taken. He also indicated,
You have a legal objection, state your legal objection, please.
he can't authenticate it.
All right, I'll overrule the objection, admit state's exhibit 46. You may.
Alright, Mr. Rivera, who's this in the photograph?
Garcia,
This person?
Katie,
Have him down?
yes, ma'am.
What about this one?
Jessica,
Jessica Rivera?
no, Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, I'm sorry.
Jessica Rivera? No, it's Rodriguez. And she's wearing 15-inch stilettos.
That's your child's mother?
Yes, ma'am.
This person?
Me,
States exhibit 46? Who's that?
that's me and Garcia.
Was there a time when Mr. Garcia approached you about coming to Tallahassee?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that?
2014.
Okay. Do you know how long before the homicide
Fred Porlock. Someone's got some English heritage.
it was that Mr. Garcia first approached you about coming to Tallahassee?
A few months.
All right. And what did Mr. Garcia say when he approached you about coming to Tallahassee?
He just said, I got a job. He gave me a job I gotta go do.
He said he had a job,
Yes, ma'am.
and the job was in Tallahassee?
Yes, ma'am.
And did he ask you to come with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask any questions about what the nature of the job was, why you needed to go all the way to Tallahassee, or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Just as my best friend and I trust him.
So you were automatically in to do whatever it was he wanted you to do.
Whatever you want to do over the road.
All right. Was money discussed as far as how you'd be compensated for this job?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
He was gonna give me some money. He said, take a ride with me over to Tallahassee and I'll give you some money.
Did he say how much?
At that moment, yeah, he did. 35.
All right. 35 what?
35,000.
You were going to get $35,000 for this job?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And did you have another conversation in the car on the way to Tallahassee?
Yes, ma'am.
How many trips did you make to Tallahassee?
Like twice.
All right. And were both trips with Mr. Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
Was anybody else in the car on either of those trips?
Not at all.
All right. Tell us about the conversation on the way to Tallahassee. Was this the first trip or the second trip?
This the first trip.
All right. Tell us about that.
We were just taking a ride up there. My concern, I thought we were gonna go rob him. So,
Say that again.
and my concern, I thought we were gonna go rob him.
You thought you were coming to Tallahassee to do a robbery?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you assume that, or did somebody tell you that?
No, I assumed I'm like, it was just a job.
All right. So you knew it was a job in Tallahassee, and you assumed it was a robbery. Did you learn something additional about what it was on the way to Tallahassee?
Yeah, and the way coming up, like halfway there, he said we're gonna have to kill the man. For some
Said you were
kids.
gonna have to kill the man.
Yeah,
And what was the second part of what you said?
for some kids.
For some kids. All right. Anything else? What did that mean to you? Kill the man for some kids.
That's for a lady. I guess the lady wanted her kids back.
All right. So is this Garcia telling you this?
Yeah,
Did he have any information about who it was you were coming to Tallahassee to kill?
if you had information for who we coming to kill,
Yeah.
yeah,
What information did he have?
he had a piece of paper.
And where was the piece of paper?
He had it in his hand at that moment.
Okay. Did you see the piece of paper? Did you see what was on it?
Yes, ma'am.
What was on it?
A picture of the guy what's his name?
Dan Markell,
Dan Michael.
the guy that y'all ended up killing.
He doesn't even remember the name. But even with that detail, like, I still kind of like the fact that he doesn't remember the name, in a strange way. I mean, you'd think you'd remember the name. You're testifying in the murder trial for this guy that you killed, or you were part of the deal that killed him. We were coming up to kill, who was it? What was the guy's name? Markel? Oh, man, Lewis.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the leading judge.
Overruled.
Is that the person whose picture was on the paper?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And was there anything else on the paper other than a picture of Mr. Markel?
I think it was the address in it too.
Okay. And who was doing the driving on this first trip?
He was.
Okay. And during the time
Our brand new member, Veronica Sawyer, says she recently watched the YouTube video someone filmed of the route he took that day, and seeing it in real time made it even more shocking. Yeah, I've seen a few videos about different routes people took, Wendy's route that was taken that day, and Luis Rivera's. I mean, it's one of the things I'd love to do when I get to Tallahassee is drive these routes, right? I mean, even seeing that video of Shadrach Nobles when he was on the trash collecting truck, around Trescott Drive, it's just like, man, you're right there,
that he showed you this paper, was he behind the wheel of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And do you know where the paper was stored inside the car?
It was on the side of where you drive out by the door.
Okay. Who was responsible for getting the car to go on the first trip?
He did.
Mr. Garcia?
Yeah, he brought the car.
All right. So you didn't, or did you accompany him to rent the car for the first trip?
No, ma'am.
Do you know what your phone number was at the time of this homicide?
I think it was like either 786. I think it was like 290. Can't
No,
remember.
your phone number.
My phone number?
Yeah.
Shit. And I had two phones.
If I say the phone number, would you be able to say that was correct or not?
Let me hear it, please.
305-570-8153.
Yeah.
That was one of your phone
That
numbers?
was one of my phone numbers.
And then I also have a 305-934-6615. Was that a phone number that belonged to you?
Yeah.
Okay. And was there one number in particular of those two that you took to Tallahassee?
I don't remember which one I took.
Did you definitely take one of them to Tallahassee?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay. I want to ask you about the first trip. Do you know the date that you came to Tallahassee on the first trip?
I can't remember, but no, I can't remember.
Okay. Does June 4th through June 5th sound correct?
Yeah, it was around June. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And that's of the year 2014, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So do you know, are you familiar with a ticket, a traffic ticket that y'all got in the area of Gainesville on that first trip?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to show you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 81. You recognize State's 81?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a fair and accurate copy of the traffic ticket that y'all received on this first trip to Tallahassee?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And this was in the car that was rented by Mr. Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
Who got the ticket?
I got the ticket.
All right. Judge, at this time, I'd ask to introduce some evidence on 80.
Don't get tickets on your murder journey. Don't be driving through a 40-mile-an-hour zone at 100 miles an hour at 9 in the morning, high on coke. You know, this is basic stuff, man. Low profile. We're supposed to be keeping a low profile. What does that mean exactly? It means fucking drive the speed limit and wear a belt and lay off the fucking class A narcotics. Okay? At least until you get to your hotel. If you've got to do some lines, do it in the hotel. Go out, get a burger, try and get an early night, wake up, you know, fresh for the murder. You know, just a couple of days sober for a couple of days. That's all we're asking. You know, you're getting 35 stacks for this, man. And Sigfredo's just as bad. Worse, 1,000 times worse. You know, he's boozing in the morning when they're going to do the killing. He's having a shot. Oh, I just need a shot. Man, if you need a shot in the morning, you're not the right guy for the job, okay? Sorry. You gotta go. Next.
Any objection?
Not at all, Judge, not from Mr. Garcia.
No objection.
Be admitted.
What was the ticket for?
Speeding.
Okay, and so you were doing the driving, at least in the Gainesville area, is that right?
Yeah, we had switched for a minute, and he told me to drive.
All right. Do you know what time of day you arrived in Tallahassee on that first trip on June 4th?
In the morning, like around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning around there.
Okay. And would it refresh your memory to look at when this traffic ticket was received?
Let me see.
So Gainesville is about 3 hours from Tallahassee, as far as I remember. I think that came up in when Jeff Lacasse was. I mean, I don't know because I'm not familiar with how things are, how far away things are in Florida. But I remember in Jeff Lacasse's interview, he said that the big fight in Gainesville and that he and Wendy had this awkward journey back to Tallahassee after the big fight in Gainesville, and it was like 2 or 3 hours, you know, of driving, which is, you know, to me that's pretty long way. So if they got to Tallahassee at 5 in the morning, I thought the traffic ticket in Gainesville was at 9 in the morning. So let's see what he says about that.
I'm going to draw your attention to the top right corner of this traffic ticket. Indicates that you received a ticket at 9:12 a.m. in Gainesville, Florida. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a fucking reliable piece of information, isn't it? That's like solid. You know, you were in Gainesville, you got a traffic ticket, and the cop that stopped you said it was 9:12, which he didn't even say it. That's just printed on the ticket, right?
Yes. When you came to Tallahassee that first time, did you have any guns with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And what guns were in the car with you on that first trip?
We had 2 guns.
Okay.
238s.
238s?
Yes, ma'am.
And where did those guns come from?
On what years?
238s. Now, I don't know a lot about guns, but it's a pretty small gun, right? It's like a snub nose. Let's check it out. Oh, this is the gun? Okay, here's the gun. How do we... Oh, well, shit. Okay, it doesn't matter. All you guys know what a 38 looks like.
One was mine.
One was whose?
Garcia's.
All right, and was that a gun that he acquired just for this trip or something he'd already had?
He already had.
All right, what about the gun that was yours?
I bought it
Where did you buy it?
in the corner.
So Garcia was going to use his own gun as well. Yeah, I'm going to rent the car in my name, get a speeding ticket, use my own gun.
On the corner, so it was an illegal gun purchase?
Yes,
or-
ma'am.
And was which one of these guns, if either of them, ended up being the murder weapon in this case?
The one that I brought.
The one that you purchased on the corner?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was before the first trip to Tallahassee?
That was the first trip.
All right, so what was the purpose of the first trip?
We came to scope them out.
Okay, were you intending to commit the murder on the first trip?
It was supposed to, but we couldn't find them.
All right, so when y'all came to do the first trip, was any money exchanged?
Nah, he had money.
Who did?
Garcia.
How much money did he have?
He probably had, I think, from $2,000 or $5,000.
Between $2,000 and $5,000?
Yeah.
Between 2 and 5 grand. I mean, let's do the math there, guys. It's 400 miles, which is about a tank of gas by my standards. So that's $100 each way, 200. Okay, let's double it and be generous and say they've got to do a bit of driving around Tallahassee, right? That's $400. Hotel, couple of nights. Throw on another $300. Food, $100. What else is there? Why have they got 5 grand? Yeah. What is this? The first class hitman job or what? 5 grand for a 2-day trip? Anywhere on the planet? I mean, that's exclusive living. Even 2 grand. What the fuck? What are they buying? Right, you got to buy the gun, maybe. Okay, throw on another grand for that. Even. It's a huge amount of money for what's involved, for expenses, you know. Okay, if it's a down payment, it's a down payment. But the way he tells it, it's like that was your expenses. 2 grand, 5 grand, whatever it was, that's your expenses. They still got the full 100, didn't they? Oh, you fucker. Shit. Hate it when that happens. Where were we?
For some kids. Automatically in to do whatever it was he wanted you to do.
So,
All right, Judge, at this time I'd ask to introduce an evidence states 46.
Any objection?
Yes, Judge, he indicated he wasn't sure when that photograph was taken.
you have the guy on.
I have no idea where we were.
How many nights did you stay in Tallahassee on that first trip? And that was before the first trip to Tallahassee?
That was the first trip.
All right, so what was the purpose of the first trip?
We came to scope them out.
Okay, were you intending to commit the murder on the first trip?
It was supposed to, but we couldn't find them.
All right, so when y'all came to do the first trip, was any money exchanged?
Nah, he had money.
Who did?
Garcia.
How much money did he have?
He probably had, I think, from $2,000 or $5,000.
Between 2 and 5 grand?
Yeah.
Okay, and did you know where he got the money from?
The money he got it from the people that hired him.
All right, and who is that? Did he tell you?
Nah, he didn't tell me that.
Okay. Did he give you any money on this first trip?
Excuse me?
Did he give you any money for this
Yeah, he
first
gave me
trip?
a couple of $100.
Okay. How many nights did you stay in Tallahassee on that first trip? If you remember.
I said like 2 nights.
All
2
right.
to 3 nights.
Where did y'all stay?
In a hotel.
Okay. And did you interact with a man by the name of Shadrach Nobles in the hotel?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that you came here to do the murder, but you couldn't find him. What did you mean by that?
We had followed him and we
Followed
lost
who?
Markel.
All right. Where'd you follow him to?
Followed him all the way to a daycare. We kept losing him.
Okay. Where did you follow him? When you say you followed him to the daycare, where did you start following him?
Like, we had stopped by a park and watched him come out of his house.
So you knew where his house was located.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know where Mr. Markel's house was?
Garcia pointed his house to me.
Okay. Was that something that was written on the paper?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you said you pulled into a park and waited for him. Where was the park?
I was in the corner by a light.
I'll show you what I marked as 647. You recognize States 47?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this a fair and accurate aerial map depicting where you parked that day waiting for Mr. Markel to follow him or scope him out?
Yes, ma'am.
But at this time, I'd ask to introduce States 47.
Any objection?
1 second. No objection from Mr. Garcia.
Be admitted. You may.
Mr. Rivera, is this yellow dot here indicate where you and Mr. Garcia waited?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you, had you already seen Mr. Markel's home before you parked here?
Yes, ma'am.
And when he pulled out, did he pull out down this road right here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, when you're talking about the light, are you talking about this intersection?
Yes.
All right, tell me where you followed him. If he came down this way, where did y'all go?
Pulled right behind him, and he went straight.
Straight down through this light?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that when you followed him to the area of the daycare?
So weird, isn't it? You know, Dan Markel was out in the nice black Honda Accord driving around and had no idea that these guys were behind him. Just imagine that, you know, you all drive cars. Someone could be following you and you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know unless you're trained. Why would you know?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and when you say you lost him, where and how did you lose him?
He had pulled him to the daycare, and by the time we made a circle, I guess he had pulled down and left. So we kept losing him.
All right, and when you talk about following Mr. Markel to the daycare on this first trip, who was driving when you all followed him to the daycare?
Garcia.
All right.
B Rabbit asks, how does Wendy like herself? She's vile. Well, this is a really important question, B Rabbit. She doesn't. That's the problem. But when someone doesn't like themselves to the extent that Wendy Adelson doesn't like themselves, it becomes very hard for them to accept or acknowledge that they don't like themselves, right? And that creates a very dangerous thing of, what do you call it? I don't know. Lashing out. It's funny, when someone doesn't like themselves in that way, they almost do things to make themselves unlikable. So that they can say, yeah, well, I wasn't likable on purpose. It wasn't because of some internal fault of mine. I did that. I made that happen. So, you know, if they can't understand why they don't like themselves, they need to. And they'll do it by purposely making themselves unlikable. It's a very disturbing thing, but it's to a lesser extent than Wendy Adelson. I think it's very common. It's very common. Yeah, but it is a dangerous thing, a destructive thing.
Did y'all you mentioned going by Mr. Markel's residence. Can you tell the jury exactly what kind of scoping out y'all did of Mr. Markel's residence on this trip?
Just driving through to see if we see his car, to see if there's somebody in the house, but we never got to see his car.
Did you ever pull around behind the house or go anywhere besides other than driving right in front?
Yeah, we went around the house.
Okay. Did you get out of the car?
No, ma'am.
Did Mr. Garcia get out of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about that.
He got off, went behind the house, tried to see if somebody was in the house.
Who was supposed to be the shooter on this first trip?
I was gonna be the shooter.
Neverly Darling says, I think it was in response to what I just said, it's like, you can't fire me, I quit. Kind of, yeah, I think so. But it's quite a bit deeper than that. I mean, can't fire me, I quit is like, it's my last word, you know? But that's dealing with the result of a situation. Fire and quit is the end of the story. What Wendy's doing is dealing with the cause of the situation, the invisible beginning. She doesn't know what that beginning is that made her unlikable. So she needs to put one there, a beginning. Wow, you know, it goes really deep, you know. And I think we would do well to just think about someone in our own lives that does this on a much lesser extent, because Wendy's very special. You know, she's top tier, top shelf, you know. But she's dealing with the cause, not the result so much. There and quit that's the end of the line. You see the difference? It's Wendy doesn't know why she's unlikable, so puts things there that can explain it.
Did you make a suggestion to change the plan from shooting to something else?
Yeah, I found out for the kids. I ain't gonna shoot nobody in front of no kids.
All right. When you saw Mr. Markel on the first trip, did he have his kids with him?
Yes, ma'am.
I ain't gonna shoot nobody in front of no kids. I mean, that's pretty much the most honorable thing of the whole story, right? This guy's a bad dude. He's gonna, you know, like Georgia Cappleman says, thinks nothing of going up to someone he doesn't know and pulling the trigger, you know. Money, get paid. Shoot bitches and get paid. But, you know, he's still got this thing of like, hey, man, I'm not involving any kids here. No way. You know, no one else has done that in this story.
All right. Why didn't the murder get done on the first trip? Is it because...
We lost him.
Okay. Did you ever observe Mr. Markel on the first trip where he was, I guess, separated from his children?
Excuse me?
Did you ever see him where he was in his car in his home and the kids were not around that first trip?
Nah, he always had his kids.
Did y'all discuss plans to, you know, yes, y'all went back to Miami, correct? After
Yes,
the
ma'am.
failed first trip. And was there any plans discussed?
Leslie says, does Wendy shiver hearing a hitman testify that they followed down to the daycare? What's your point, Leslie? That they were that close to the kids? Let me tell you something. For one, I believe that Wendy really enjoyed telling the children that their dad was dead, watching that reaction on their face, even though they're 3 and 4 years old, probably incapable of understanding anything that they're being told, but there would have been some kind of recognition of the gravity of the situation, right? Wendy enjoyed seeing that change on their faces. It was almost an extension of the act of extinguishing the life of Professor Markel. But furthermore, I don't believe, I also believe that Wendy would have actually quite liked it if Professor Markel had been gunned down in front of the boys and they'd seen the blood squirting out of his chest, some horrific thing like that, you know. She's a sick fuck. Really, you know, none of us here in this chat can look at Wendy and make the mistake of judging her by our own standards. That is a bad mistake to make. It's not our standards. We would freak out if the hitmen were so close to the boys, right? And they could have gotten hurt. Wendy doesn't give a shit about these boys at all. And probably over the years has increasingly developed hatred for them. But holds them close because they are tools to her. You know, every decision that she makes for the boys is probably, for the sake of it, against what Professor Markel would have wanted for the boys. And every decision that she makes for those boys, you're going to be doing this or this or this, or we're going to get you this, or you're going to take this course or go on this summer camp or whatever the decisions are, that she is actively choosing to go against Markel's wishes, that's like a celebration to her. They're nothing but tools. I've heard people say stupid things like, oh, Wendy would run, but she loves those boys too much. She couldn't leave the boys. And I look at people that say shit like that, and I'm like, what case are you watching? You know, what are you watching here? This is not a normal person. This is not a normal mother. You know, she has nothing. Those boys are nothing but tools to her on two counts. One, as an extension of the damage that she did to the Professor Markel and the Markel family. Tool number one. Tool number two is, you know, and I know that she portrays herself in her circles as this poor single mother whose father of her sons was gunned down, and she's had to pick up the pieces and guide them through the grief and be strong when no one was there for her, and it's all about the boys. You know, she plays that role. Aside from those two things, those boys are worthless as a 6-month-old tangerine that's all soft, very, very soft. And you sort of look at it and you go, no, that's no good anymore. I'm not even going to peel it. You know, that's going straight in the bin because it's really soft.
Just about when to come back.
No, ma'am.
All right. What about between the two trips? Was there conversation about the homicide or coming back to Tallahassee?
Excuse me, what two trips? The two trips?
Between the two trips, did y'all talk about when you're going to come back, or
No, when we left that first night, we left. We didn't talk about it.
you did or did not?
Did not.
Okay. How did it come about that y'all came back?
He ended up calling me, said, you got to do the job. We got to finish that job.
Okay. And did y'all return to Tallahassee on July 16th, 2014?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you get to Tallahassee that time?
We rented a car.
Who rented the car?
I did.
I'm going to show you what's been introduced into evidence. This state-
Hey, Lee. How you doing, Lee? Why did I have it in my mind that you were in Florida? But you were talking about the earthquake, I think, today in Cali. So you're in Cali, right?
States 82. You seen this exhibit before?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the rental agreement with you where you rented this car?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a green Prius, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Whose phone number is this up here listed as brother?
Can't remember.
Give it to you. 786-272-5986.
I can't remember.
Who went with you to rent the Prius, if anyone?
What was
Oh yeah, Lolly 77. The boys will always remind her of Dan, but you know, especially, you know, what's the oldest one now? 16? 16 going on 17. They're going to start looking more and more like their dad. How spooky is that? How horribly spooky is that? Like, as they move into early adulthood, they're going to start really looking like him, right? Probably.
me and Garcia? He waited for me in the corner. I went in, gave him $200. I rented the car.
Okay. Did you refer to Mr. Garcia as your brother?
Always.
Who drove to
Soap, do you need a coffee? Because you are sleeping on the mixing desk. What about those levels, Soap? Sleeping on the job. We're going to be getting Soap some new headphones soon, guys. We haven't decided whether she wants the Sony or the what's the other brand, Soap? Not Beats Audio. What is it called? I can't remember what it's called. Sennheiser. Yeah, well, you know, they're both equally good. Noise cancelling, snore cancelling. I think we could all do with some of those. Or do people like it? You know, there the dog is snoring on the mixing desk. Yeah, buy her a coffee at buymeacoffee.com. Buy sopacoffee.com. Link in the description, guys.
Tallahassee in the green Prius?
I did.
Where did y'all stay in Tallahassee on the second trip?
Same hotel.
Okay, I'm going to show you what I've marked as States Exhibit 8.
Fucking same hotel. They always get the same hotel. I mean, how to be easily traced. Yeah, get stopped by a cop on the way up there. Have him take your ID and number plate and blah, blah, blah. You know. Or Bose. Yeah. Those are the best ones, right, Leslie? Bose? Bose. Yeah. Or, yeah. I think they're all pretty much the same, right? It's just marketing now.
Recognize States 83?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, is that the receipt from, I think this one is, it shows an arrival date of July 16th. Is that your information?
Yes, ma'am.
Carrie Brooke says soap is the ASMR we didn't know we needed. ASMR. What does that mean? Shit, I can't even think what that means. I think if I had more time, I'd be able to work it out. Someone let me know what that means. ASMR. What is that, Soap?
Is that a fair and accurate copy of what you filled out to register in the hotel here in Tallahassee?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move into evidence States Exhibit 83, which is accompanied by a certification or declaration of authenticity by the folks at the Budget Inn.
Budget in,
Yes, sir.
is there objection?
Just to confirm, this is on the July 16th, 2014, that's this one, correct? Okay, no objection.
Here we go from Toronto Tina or Torontina. Audio sensory thing, I believe. Autonomous sensory meridian response. Well, that's spoken like a true registered nurse, Neverly Darling. Wow, that sounds medical.
Mr. President.
No objection.
Be admitted. You may.
Well, thank you so much, Sonny from the H, for the super chat. But I can't say I agree with your message, though. Free Charlie? What are you talking about, Sonny? Come on. He got himself where he needs to be, you know? Prison forever. The only way he's getting out of jail is in a box.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What about this phone number? There's another phone number on here. You know who that was? Is that a real phone number?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
It's not a real phone number at all.
I want to talk about Thursday, July 17th. So you came, you spent the night at the Budget Inn, you woke up on Thursday, July 17th. What happened that day?
Woke up, took a ride to Markel's house.
Hello, Crime and Coffee. How you doing?
That Thursday morning. And went around the house. So we went around the house, we came back around, and we seen a lady walking through.
Mm-hmm. Where was the lady?
She was towards my right-hand side, towards his house. Markel's
Towards
house.
whose house? Towards Markel's house?
Mhm.
Okay. Was she in the street, on the sidewalk, or something
Sidewalk.
else? Okay. Did she have children with her?
Yes, ma'am, too.
All right. What happened when you saw this lady? Did she see you?
Yeah, she looked dead at the car. I was driving, and as I looked in my rear mirror, I seen her looking.
Mm-hmm.
So
What
I asked,
happened next?
Garcia, what's up with this lady? Was she looking at the car?
Maybe it's Georgia that makes Lewis likable. You know? Which is exactly what she should be doing, because she wants the jury to be with him and, you know, not think that he's all right, he's a bad dude and everything like that, but she wants the jury to be kind of listening to him, and he's a major witness in this case. Take him out completely? His testimony? Well, you know, I think they'd still have enough to convict everyone that's been convicted so far. It's amazing that Catherine McBanoa got a mistrial, but he is a key witness. There's no two ways about it.
Car. You know, that's that lady with the kids, man.
So you asked Garcia, hey, who's this lady that's looking at the car?
Yes, ma'am.
And he said, that's the lady with the kids.
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you take that to mean?
That's the lady that wanted the kids.
The lady that wanted you to do this job?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And were you worried about seeing her there?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you worried about her seeing you there?
Of course.
Were you concerned? Did you ever ask Garcia, who knows that I'm involved in this job with you?
I can't remember.
Can't remember that?
No.
Okay. What did you do once you see this lady and Garcia tells you that's the lady that wants this job done?
We drove off. We left.
Okay. Did Garcia make a phone call about seeing the lady?
I'm looking to the rearview mirror, and I seen her making a phone call. I seen
Okay.
her getting on the phone.
The lady that you saw on the sidewalk?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then y'all drove off?
We drove off.
Okay. And did Mr. Garcia, after seeing that and driving off, did he make any phone calls?
After we done bent like the corner, I see he got on the phone.
All right. And who did he get on the phone with?
I believe he got on the phone with Katie.
How do you know it was Katie he got on the phone with?
Cause she like, the way he was talking, it's only her. He only talks to her.
All right. And what do you mean the way he was talking? How are you able to tell?
Like, when he spoke to her, she like, y'all get out of there. The lady just seen y'all.
All right. And so y'all were worried about this lady having seen you?
Oh, I was worried.
You were?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you able, you said that you believe Garcia called Katie. Could you actually hear her, or you could only hear his end of the conversation?
I'm hearing his end of the conversation right now.
All right. And tell us about his end of the conversation. What did you hear?
He's like, we just gotta go. Like, let's get out of here.
Okay. Did you learn anything about Mr. Markel planning to leave town?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
We had to get the job done because he was supposed to leave that Friday morning.
How did you know that?
Garcia told me.
And how did he know that?
Katie told me.
And when Katie told him that, was that something that happened while you were present, or something that he already knew before y'all arrived there?
No, I was present. I was in the car.
Yo, crime. What are you talking about? There's 90 likes on the channel, on the video. You need to refresh your screen, crime.
Did you post a picture on Instagram while y'all were in Tallahassee on that second trip?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell the jury about that?
There's a picture of an owl.
An owl, like the bird?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, this stone cold gangster looks out of his window and says, "Hey man, oh man, there's an owl. Where's my phone? I gotta take a picture of an owl and put it on Instagram with hashtag owl, Tallahassee owl." Just like a 6-year-old boy sees a big owl, you know. But man, what a feature to this story. And you go to the Hooters restaurant that night where they've got an owl on the logo, and Wendy's wearing an owl, and Tuto means owl, and even Professor Markel had an owl engraved, what was it, on the wardrobe or something? Like a decorative engraving on the wardrobe was an owl. How many owls? It's just so weird to me because it's a very omenistic animal, right? It's a totem. The totem of this story is the owl, the all-seeing, the nocturnal, the nocturnal, the life in the dark, the darkness. I mean, it could not be more fitting to everything in this story. The owl. And he took a fucking picture of an owl.
Okay. And was that a photograph that you took here in Tallahassee?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What happened after you posted this picture of an owl on Instagram?
Garcia came and told me, you need to take that shit down. Just like that.
Garcia told you that?
Yes, ma'am.
And who told him that?
I believe Katie.
You believe Katie, or
No,
you know Katie?
It's Katie. It's her.
Okay. So did Garcia get a phone call about the Instagram photo that you posted?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you present when he received that phone call?
I was outside. He
Okay.
came outside and told me.
He came outside and told you to take it down?
Yeah.
All right. And did you all have contact with that same gentleman that y'all saw the first trip, Shodrick Nobles? Did y'all see him on the second trip?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Could you tell the jury about the circumstances of coming into contact with Mr. Nobles on the second trip?
Buying drugs.
All right. And was there an issue with your car as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell the jury about the issue with the car?
There was an issue in the car. I was driving. and Garcia pulled a gun out and shot a hole right through the car.
All right, what gun did he shoot the car with?
Shot a hole through the car. Like you didn't fuck up enough already? You're gonna shoot a fucking hole in the Prius. And not just shoot a hole through the car, but the gas line. It's amazing you didn't blow yourself up. Idiot. It's like trying to stash the gun. It goes off. I mean, you know, it would have been deafening as well. You know, you shoot a gun in a car with the windows closed. Man, that's some loud shit.
The homicide one. The 38.
The murder weapon,
Murder weapon.
the gun that you bought on the street corner.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and I assume that was an accidental shooting of the car.
Yeah, it was an accident.
Where did this occur? Were y'all in the parking lot or somewhere else?
And I was driving,
All right, did it disable the vehicle?
of course.
All right, so what did y'all do as a result of the vehicle being disabled? And this is the green Prius, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead and tell us what y'all did.
Well, the car had stopped because he hit the gas line. So, pushed it right.
Yeah, thanks, crime. Yeah. We all got to look out for each other, huh?
To the side of the road, so like a little parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
He left with Cedric to the AutoZone and got a little piece of hose to come fix it up. It only took him like about 10 minutes to fix it.
So Garcia got a ride with Mr. Nobles.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and who fixed the car?
Garcia.
All right, was he able?
No, Ryan. You know they shouldn't arrest Wendy now. If they arrest her now, she wouldn't testify at all. She'd Fifth Amendment, right to silence, plead the fifth. I mean, to my mind, that's the only reason that she's not arrested yet. After she testifies in this, what will be holding them back from arresting Wendy? Not much, right? It's going to be hard to come up with an excuse after Donna's trial and conviction. But yeah, they're not going to arrest her beforehand because what she already has said that she won't testify without the use and derivative use immunity. So if she were already arrested and charged, there wouldn't really be anything to keep her immune from, right? I mean, you could argue, but yeah, they're not going to arrest her beforehand, and that's the right move, you know. Let her testify in Donna's trial, and arrest her very soon after, please. Like it's been a long time coming.
Able to do that with whatever he bought at the auto parts store,
Of course.
and then it ran again after that?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Mr. Nobles assist y'all with getting a hotel room that second night in Tallahassee?
Yes.
All right, I want to talk about what happened on July 18th, 2014. Who was driving the green Prius that day?
I was.
Where did y'all go when you left the hotel?
Yeah, boobies and cocaine and chicken wings. You know, that's the big thing in Hooters, right? Is wings. I mean, the cheapest part of chicken. That should be their logo. The cheapest part of chicken.
To Marquez house.
All right, and was Mr. Markel, was his vehicle there?
That's that Friday.
Yes, sir.
His vehicle, we had pulled, but we passed by. We didn't see it, so we went to the corner, the same spot of that park. We posted up and waited for him to come around. So once I seen him, we followed him
Where did you follow him?
all the way to the daycare.
Angie, congratulations on becoming a brand new True Crime Metrix member of the community, Angie. Fantastic. It's great to have you aboard. It's great to have you aboard this merry member train. Well done, Angie. You made a good choice tonight for yourself, and we're very proud of you.
All right. And did you see him drop his children off at the daycare?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you continue to follow him?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you follow him from the daycare?
To the gym.
All right. And are you still driving at this point?
I'm still driving.
And Mr. Garcia is the passenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you continue to use your cell phones once you got into the area of Premier Gym?
Oh yeah,
I think the cell phone was off.
that's the other thing. Yeah, while we go on this murder trip and rent a car in our own name and rent a hotel, and okay, they didn't rent the hotel in their own name, but they stayed at the same fucking hotel twice. You know, get to know the manager maybe, and maybe go out for a drink with the manager, invite him to Hooters. Get completely tanked and wasted on the way up and while we're there, pull some guns on some other gangsters that we invite into the hotel room, shoot a fucking hole in the Prius. I mean, what else do you want to do? And I've been listing so many of their other mistakes that I've forgotten the mistake that she just mentioned. What was it? Oh yeah, using your phone. Yeah, we're going to use our own phones while we're tracking the target. Leave your phone in Miami, dickhead. You bought burner phones after the FBI were onto you. Well, why didn't you buy burner phones? Fucking $20 for a flip phone. All right, you can get a smartphone for like what, $60? Get a fucking burner phone to take with you, dick. Use your own phone. It's just ridiculous.
And the cell phone was off. I can't remember.
Okay. You don't remember whether you turned your phone off or not?
Yeah, I can't remember if it was on or off.
Okay. Have you seen the Premier Gym video?
I seen the gym.
And you saw the images of that green Prius circling around while Mr. Markel was working out in the gym?
Yeah.
And was that you in that vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened once Mr. Markel came out of the gym?
We followed him all the way back to his house.
And have you seen the images that were on the bus cameras?
Have I seen the images?
Yeah, the video from the bus cameras.
Yeah, I seen them.
All right. And is that y'all both before and right after the murder of Mr. Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Did, on the way to the murder, I see only your car, the Prius, turning onto Benton Road. I do not see Mr. Markel's. Why is that?
We went the other. He went one way and we went the other way.
And what do you mean by that? He turned before you?
Yeah, Michael Kennedy. We saw good old Ryan Fitzpatrick give us a nice old shout out on STS's video, and that was really good of him. And it was so nice to know that Ryan saw our little video that we made about him. And it was especially nice because he took it so well in stride. Usually on this channel, I only rip on the murderers in a harsh way. I lovingly rip on Judge Everett sometimes. Okay, a lot of the time. And most of the time, lovingly rip on General Isom. But, I rewatched my video of Ryan Fitzpatrick after Ryan gave us a shout out, and I thought, oh man, maybe I was a little maybe I was a little too heavy on Ryan, you know, because he's not on trial. He wasn't involved in the murder. You know, why am I ripping on this guy so hard? But apparently he liked it, so I'm glad. And no, it was really nice that he enjoyed the show, and it's kind of funny though, you know. It was kind of surreal to have Ryan Fitzpatrick go, "Hey, that true crime Metrix guy, macho sapien, blah blah." You know, it's just like, what the fuck? uh, yeah, no, it was cool. We saw it. Yeah, thanks.
You or after you?
He turned before me.
Okay, so he turned to get to his house another way, and you turned on Benton.
Yes, the corner of his house.
Okay, that corner right there by the park?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and so when you were approaching Mr. Markel's residence,
But I'm thinking macho sapien, which was 100% original, guys. I'd never heard that term before. As far as I know, I came up with it completely. I'm thinking it could actually be a really viable merch product. We're going to be working on macho sapien merch soon enough over the weekend, day and night, and we'll be releasing it on Monday morning. Yeah, macho sapien. Hashtag macho sapien. We're going to get that going. We're going to get that going for Ryan.
was he coming from the other direction?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened once the two of y'all were headed toward each other?
He pulled in, and I pulled right behind him.
How close did you get up behind him?
Real close.
All right. And what was Mr. Markel doing when you pulled up behind him?
He was on the phone.
All right. Still seated in the driver's seat of his vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened once you pulled into his driveway?
As soon as I pulled in, Garcia jumped out. He jumped out the car and went around. Not around, but in front of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Right behind his car and in front of the car I was driving. Went to the driver's side and shot him.
He shot Mr. Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
Twice.
Did you actually see Mr. Garcia?
I don't know how many of y'all have been in a situation where you're in a car and you've got to jump out, you know, it, at a moment's notice. What can we say about that? Well, you know, it's you got to imagine that would be a big moment, right? That is a big moment. That is the moment of commitment. Everything up until then, you can bail, but when it's time to jump out, it's time to jump out, right? And once you jump out, you're in. Whatever happens, you're in.
Shoot Mr. Markel?
Of course.
Were the shots close together?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe Mr. Garcia's shooting position? Like how he was holding the gun?
One hand.
All right. Was it raised up or was it like a normal?
Of course, Yindra stuck up for us, Albert. Yindra's a homegirl in the Metrix community. Absolutely.
Arm pretty straight shooting position.
Raised up pretty straight.
Okay. And did Mr. Garcia, did you observe him touch anything did he have to go inside the garage to kill Mr. Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you see him touch anything inside the garage?
No, ma'am.
All right. And when he shot Mr. Markel, can you tell the jury anything about how close the gun was to Mr. Markel?
Pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah, Carrie, she wishes. You know she wishes.
Would you say inches, feet?
Just inches away.
All right. Did you see Mr. Garcia go inside the house at all?
Not at all.
Did he take anything from Mr.
No.
Markel other than his life?
No, ma'am.
What did y'all do once Mr. Garcia shot Mr. Markel?
Yeah, it would have been really good if they'd taken something from Professor Markel other than his life. Professor Markel should have said, "Listen, I've got a brand new printer. It's still in the box. It's a Canon It's really good, and it's got a scanner as well and everything. And you press the big green button. It'll scan and print all your documents, all your legal court documents for your crimes. Take this printer. It's an inkjet.
Got in the car and left.
And who was driving?
Me,
All right. Which way did y'all go?
the same way we came in.
All right. Up Thomasville Road?
They by the corner of the park.
Okay. So you turned at the corner by the park.
Yeah.
And then did you turn at the light?
Yes, made a right and just left.
All right. Did y'all get on the interstate and head back to Miami?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see the person in the courtroom who shot Mr. Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you please point that person out and describe what he's wearing?
Garcia, she's wearing tux.
A tux?
Yeah.
What color is the shirt?
Blue.
Let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
This guy calls all suits tuxedos. He's over there in the tux.
Garcia. On the bus video that we talked about a little earlier, in the moments after the homicide, there's some like animated movement that's seen in the passenger side of the Prius. Can you tell us what that was? What was happening at that time?
Oh, he's just trying to hide the gun.
Who was?
Garcia.
Where was he trying to hide the gun?
Right in front of the passenger side.
Okay. And what was Mr.
Well, under the fucking chair. You know, I mean, you might as well just have it out if that's where you're going to hide it, right? It's like, that's where you hide a gun. Oh, hide the gun. I'll put it under the seat.
Garcia's demeanor like? What was he acting like when he got back in the car after killing Mr. Markel?
He was nervous.
What happened to the murder weapon in this case?
We dumped it
Where did y'all dump it?
in the lake.
All right, what lake?
And the bridge, in hotel, in one of the bridges.
All right, was it on the way between?
One of the 10,000 bridges over water that is in South Florida. What is the deal with that? Why are there so many bridges and water? And, you know, maybe that's a clue. Maybe people shouldn't live there, you know?
Tallahassee and Miami?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you able to say exactly which bridge it was?
I can't remember.
But the gun was thrown into a body of water?
Yes, ma'am.
And who threw the gun into the body of water?
Garcia.
Did you ride around with law enforcement much later looking for this location?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have you?
Yeah, they got him on McDonald's, right? I wonder what Luis Rivera's order is at McDonald's. I don't eat a lot of McDonald's, but obviously I have done in my life. And I've always ordered the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Yeah. I know grown men that get fucking excited over when the seasonal special burger gets released at McDonald's. They're like, oh my god, it's a Texan barbecue, blah 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 blah. I don't understand these people, and I don't know how they ever get any women. What is the deal with that? What is your problem? Listen, quarter pounder with cheese. Not even the special one, just quarter pounder with cheese. That's it.
You seen the ATM images in this case?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What's that?
That's me.
What's that?
Garcia.
What car is this?
The Prius.
That's the day of the homicide?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, why doesn't everybody in the chat let us know what their McDonald's order is? Like, seriously, I maybe eat one McDonald's per year. But I tell you something, just across the border from where I am in Spain, like I'm in Portugal, if you go across the border to Ayamonte, or Ayamonte, if you're in Spanish, man, they have a McDonald's there that is like, anytime that I've been there, it is actually really good. It's like, holy shit. Everything about this is, it's like the highest standard that you could possibly have of McDonald's. The fries are fresh and hot and just the right level of crisp. The burger is like, holy shit. How can I actually give credit to McDonald's? I'm enjoying this meal. It's like it's crazy. It's really nuts.
Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
what were you doing at the ATM?
I was just getting money out.
Why did you need to get money out if you got a couple $100 already for the?
Anne-Marie, look, you love Mikey D's, really? Come on. You need to broaden your horizons and go and find some real food, because it's shit. It is absolute shit. It's beyond garbage. McDonald's is fucked. Don't eat McDonald's, man. I just, it is the worst possible shit you could ever have. I mean, ugh, no.
We got ran out.
Y'all had run out of money by then?
Yeah.
Do you know which one of you had the first phone call once the murder occurred, you or Mr. Garcia?
Garcia.
And do you know when that phone call was made or where y'all were when the phone call was made?
We was driving back to Miami.
Just in case any of y'all are wondering, a quarter pounder with cheese in Portugal is actually called a Royale with cheese. Well, in fact, it's just called a Royale cheese.
All right. And who was the first phone call? Did he receive a phone call or he made a phone call?
I can't remember right there.
And who was the first phone call with?
Katie.
All right. So Garcia either called Katie or got a call from Katie, and that was the first call that either of y'all made after the murder.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And how do you know that that call was to Katie?
Because when he was speaking, he like, hey, the shit is done. She goes, I already know it's done.
Something that you heard or that Garcia told you?
I heard.
How were you able to hear it?
Because I'm in the car with him. The windows
All right.
are up and she's on the phone.
So her voice was loud enough through the receiver that you were
Yes,
able to
ma'am.
hear her. And could you identify her voice as being hers and not somebody else's?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So tell us again what exactly was said.
He said, we already finished. He goes, I already know it's done.
All right. And then what?
And then we asked for the money, like, where the money at? So you'll get it tomorrow.
Who said you'll
So, P. Deb Schuster. You also have Bojangles, though, right? In North Carolina.
get it tomorrow?
Katie.
Who was responsible for getting the money?
I believe Katie.
All right. And you said, why do you say you believe Katie? Was it Katie or not?
Yes, it was Katie.
All right. And did you know where she was going to get the money from?
If I knew, not really, but we know the lady, Wendy, was paying it.
All right. So you knew that the job was being done so that Wendy could get her kids.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go with Katie to get the money?
No, ma'am.
All right. And when Katie said you'll get the money, what exactly did she say? I'm not sure you said
They'll
that
get the
yet.
money tomorrow.
You'll get the money tomorrow. And was that okay with you?
Not really. I mean, now the job is done. We should get the money today.
All right. Did y'all go back and forth about that a little bit?
Not at all.
All right. So she's going to get the money and you were going to get it tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you get the money the next day?
Yes, ma'am.
That's going to be Saturday the 19th,
Yes, ma'am.
July 19th, 2014.
Yes.
Your financial records indicate that you went to Big Daddy's the night of the murder. Is that a place in Miami?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of place is that?
Big Daddy, you got a bar and then you got a Flanagan's right next to it.
Okay. Is Flanagan's also a bar or is that something else?
It's together.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bar. It's a sport bar.
Is that a place that you hung out regularly?
Not really.
Okay. But you went there that night?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about Mr. Garcia? Did he go there with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Did y'all spend some money that night?
Yes.
Were y'all celebrating?
You can't call it celebrating, but yeah, we spent some money.
All right, but you hadn't been paid yet.
No, not at all.
Okay, but you were anticipating getting some money the next day.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know how much Mr.
Yeah.
Garcia was?
Yeah, they've still got $3,000 left from their expenses, man. I mean, you know, $5,000 for a 2-day trip to Tallahassee. You got $100. Was it? We called it $400 on fuel, and that's being big margin. Big margin. You probably need $250, maybe. What else was it? Hotel, $300. Food, $100. The gun, what, 500 total? Being generous, you know, we're still up to like $1,000. Here's $5,000 for your expenses. Yeah, we spent some money. We didn't get paid, but we still had a shitload over from the expenses.
Getting paid for his role in this murder?
40 grand.
40 grand, and that's what he told you?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know how much Katie was getting for her role in this murder?
The rest,
The rest of what?
the money,
How much money was it total?
100 grand.
100 grand?
Yes, ma'am.
That's how much the job was?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you learn that?
I asked Garcia, he's giving me 35, and he's getting 40. I said, how much is in total? He said 100. Katie get the rest.
All right. So you said that you got paid the next day. Tell us about that.
I was in a barbershop the next morning.
All this fast food talk, you know, I gotta say, you know, there's a debate about who has the best French fries, right? And I say it's gotta be McDonald's, man. You know, if they're good McDonald's French fries with the right amount of salt, fresh off the thing, they do good French fries. And yeah, Burger King are very different, the French fries. They're chunkier and, you know, it's different. And some people really go with those ones, right? But for me personally, I say, as far as the French fries go, McDonald's is the one. And fuck KFC. Oh man, I just put the whole video back.
Way between
And the way-
Tallahassee and Miami?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you able to say exactly which bridge it was? You'll get it tomorrow.
Sport bar.
You get your money around that time?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And what did she say? Did she say anything about the money?
Yeah, she said, who's gonna come get this money? I said, he is. You go get it.
All right. So she wanted to know who was going to come get the money.
Yes, ma'am.
And were you able to locate Mr. Garcia?
Of course.
And did y'all go get the money?
I might go for some sushi tomorrow, guys. I don't have any transport at the moment, but there is a sushi place in town. But the people that work there are Chinese, not Japanese. I think they've just seen a market for, you know, oriental pitching of fish. Not sure what that's about.
I didn't go get it. He went and get it.
You didn't get your money?
I was in a barbershop still. They brought the money to my house.
Okay. And did you go to your house to get the money?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was present when you went to your house and got your money?
Garcia and Katie.
All right. And is that the house that we talked about earlier that you lived at with Jessica?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you leave the barber shop. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And go to your house.
Actually, Leslie, the sushi place is right next to a pizza place, like right across the street. So maybe I could get both. You know, have a starter at the sushi place and then go for pizza. Why not? Like I'm in Miami, huh? Hey, Wendy Adelson would love it around here.
House?
Yes.
Who gave you the money?
Garcia.
All right. And Catherine Magbanna was present as well?
She was there.
All right, and tell us about the money. How was it packaged?
It was in a brown bag,
Okay. Like a brown paper bag or a plastic?
a brown paper bag.
All right, and what about inside the brown paper?
Well, thanks so much, P. Deb, for buying us a coffee on buymeacoffee.com. That's really appreciated, P. Deb, and we thank you very kindly. But if it's all right with you, we might put it towards some sushi tomorrow night.
Bag.
It was like a little clear plastic, a plastic bag inside of it as well.
All right, and what was inside the clear plastic bag?
Money, all hundreds.
All hundreds?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you count the money?
No, Georgia. Something's wrong with your ears, Georgia. It's hundreds. All hundreds. All hundreds.
No,
How do you know how much was there?
because I trust him.
All right, so you were told it was 35,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And did it seem like about that much to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said it was all hundreds. Were they?
Yeah, Luis Rivera has always been able to identify a stack of cash and just immediately tell you how much is there. He's like, yeah, that looks about $3,500. Yeah. Well, I don't think it'd be that hard. You know, you sort of look at a wad of cash and you go, okay, well, that's what $1,000 looks like. And we got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that looks about right.
Separated it all into stacks?
They were stapled,
Stapled.
$1,000 staple each one of them.
So stacks of hundreds stapled together with like a stapler?
I'm just imagining Luis Rivera sat in his fucking kitchen or something, you know, fingernailing these staples 35 times or 38 times. You know, he must have no nail left on his thumb, right? It's like really worn out thumbnail, taking all these fucking staples out. It's crazy.
Yeah, with a staple, not all of them together, but $1,000 each was stapled.
Okay. So you had a bunch of stacks of $100 bills that were stapled into stacks of 1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is Anthony Ortiz?
That's one of my friends.
All right.
Is he a friend, Luis? Or was he informing on you and the Latin Kings? Or did he catch wind that the FBI were looking into you guys and hightail it over to Rhode Island? Or did your guys catch up with him in Rhode Island? This whole King Anthony thing is it's pretty nuts after what Fancy released, huh? I'd never really paid it no mind, you know, before. But since she brought it up, it is kind of weird. What is this knucklehead, low-level gangbanger from Miami doing way the fuck up in Rhode Island? Of all the places to be, he's in Rhode Island? Why? Has that ever been explained?
Is that a person that would know how to find you?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And did Catherine Magbanua know Anthony Ortiz?
Yeah.
And do you know his number? Or if I say his number, would you be able to say yes or no that that's his number?
Yeah.
305-762-0648.
That's his number.
Hey, Seashore Girl. Is it the Jersey Shore?
Did you get any additional money for this murder other than the money that you got in that brown paper bag?
Yeah, he gave me an extra $2,000.
Who did?
Garcia
When was that?
in the car.
You say in the car, was that the same day that you got the 35 grand?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware of any purchases that Mr. Garcia made with his portion of the money from this murder?
Yes, ma'am.
And what purchases were those?
We just
Oh, nice. How far are you away from the boardwalk?
bought some toys, like cars, motorcycles.
What about you? Did you buy any toys?
Yeah, I bought a motorcycle.
I'm gonna approach with States Exhibits 48 and 49.
Sure, Latin Kings have members in Providence, Rhode Island. Of course. I mean, they're in 48 states, aren't they? I mean, you know, it's a major syndicate.
Start with 48. Do you recognize that exhibit?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you recognize it?
Let's go see his motorcycle and the Monte Carlo assist.
All right. Is this a fair and accurate photo of the toys that he bought with the proceeds of this murder?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to introduce States 48.
Any objection?
Judge, if I may,
You may.
Judge, I'm gonna object this to authentication. Mr.
Public rule, that's good.
Hello, Sam Bota. 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 How would you say that? I guess it's Bata. Bata. The mystery of Sam.
You may.
There's a couple motorcycles in this photo. Did Mr. Garcia purchase both of those with full money?
Nah, just one. The yellow one.
He's bought a fucking 1982 Monte Carlo, a yellow motorbike. I mean, you can just imagine these knuckleheads going, hey, we've got $35,000. Let's go and buy some piece of shit car and a used motorcycle.
Yellow and black one.
This one in front?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about this vehicle back here? Did you purchase that with money from the
Yes, ma'am.
Didn't Luis Rivera buy a Toyota Camry? Oh man! If you'd have gone to Ruth and Phil Markel and say, "Listen, we've been hired to kill your son, but if you give us a Toyota Camry, we'll call it off." Oh, I hate to make laugh around such a subject that is so tragic, but it's just ridiculous what these guys really got out of this, you know? A Toyota Camry? Really? That was it? A fucking 82 Monte Carlo? Or whatever year it is? Just unbelievable. And they were both back to living in the red or the black, or which is negative. I always forget this. What is it? Red that's below zero or black? They were both back to paycheck in a few months, right? Hey, thanks so much for the super sticker, Alex K. We really appreciate that. That's very generous of you indeed.
States Exhibit 49, do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
What does that show?
Me and Garcia on the motorcycles.
All right, are those the motorcycles y'all bought with the money from killing Mr. Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
So at this time, I'd ask to move in evidence States 49.
Any objection?
No objection.
There'll be a 49, will be it?
Hey, Veronica, maybe you can clear this up for us right now. So in England, when you say your old man or your old lady. It's your dad or your mom. But I think in America, it's your spouse, right? My old lady, my old man, it's your husband. Or is it the other way around? I always forget.
Do you know what Catherine Magbanua did with her cut of the money?
Datsun is a separate company, Carrie. You know, there's still a lot of Datsuns around here.
Not really.
Did you dump your phone, the phone that you took to Tallahassee? Did you dump that phone after the murder?
Nah, I think I just changed the number.
Change the number? And did you change the number because it might have been associated with homicide?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened to the Prius?
Well, we turned it back. The
Who
Prius-
turned it back in?
I turned it back in.
Was it turned in on time?
No.
Tell us about that.
Well, Garcia used it at night. We went out. He took the Prius, parked it somewhere around the house. He said he lost it. He said he didn't know where he put it at. So I had to go over there and look for it. Found it like a block and a half away from where he lived at in Miami
Alright.
Beach.
Miami Beach?
Yeah.
And so the Prius was a few days late, right?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with a wire intercept, a T3 wire intercept that was done in reference to this case?
Not really.
Have you had an opportunity to review some recorded calls that were captured on a disc?
I heard it from one of my own girls.
Say that again?
I heard it before.
Okay, did you remember coming and listening with Investigator Newland to some phone calls
Hello, Esmeralda. How you doing? What did you make a typo of, huh?
and initialing whether or not you knew who the voices were on those calls?
Detective Newman?
Newland, Investigator Jason Newland. Did you meet with him?
Yeah, I met with him.
Okay, and did he play some phone calls for you? And the gist of that was asking you, can you recognize the voices on
Yes.
these calls? You remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to approach with State's Exhibit 138. One moment, please, Your Honor.
All right, jury needs to take a break. We'll take 10 minutes. Either side anything.
Oh, I think we're closing.
All right, 10 minutes.
Thank you.
79.
Well, that concludes that concludes part one of the Luis Rivera testimony series. We're doing pre-trial to Donna. What is everyone thinking of the filter? I like it. I think some people like it and some other people don't like it. But I think it's important for us to stick with the filter. You know. It differentiates us from everybody else that's covering the case. It's a visual aid. Maybe we can lighten it up a bit. We're also trying to clean up the audio some, guys. You know, put in a bit of equalizer on that stuff. Because you want to hear the original. There's so much background hum, so much background noise. You know. Yeah, oh, good. Okay. Yeah, good. People like it. Good, good. Because I really want to stick with it. I think it's gonna. You know, give kind of identity to the channel. So that's nice. Yeah, I'm glad that it doesn't super offend anybody. Like Derek, you're one of our key players, man. Why don't you like the filter? Come round to our side of things, Derek. Yeah. So, kind of a short one tonight, guys, right? But yeah, no, I think it's important that we leave it there. And we'll be back tomorrow with multiple cross examinations of Luis Rivera from 2019 and also a rebuttal from Georgia Kaufman. Then we'll be moving on, of course, to Lewis's testimony from 2019. From 2022, Catherine Magvano's retrial. And wasn't it strange in 2023 when he was at Charlie Adelson's trial, because he looked really thin and like older, but from his picture the other day on the booking to Leon County, you know, he seems to have filled out a bit more. He's looking strong again. So yeah, of course we're going to be seeing him for real testifying very soon in Donna Adelson's trial. Well, that's going to be good. Yeah, like Riding Shotgun says here, one of our fantastic moderators, come over to the Discord. It's free. Link in the description. Talking about the Adelson case, talking about any case that you like, or putting ideas out there. It's just people talking about the stuff that we care about, you know, and it's on all the time. So when there's not a stream on True Crime Metrix, all of the real cool kids that are here are over on the Discord. So if you want to be a cool kid, you're more than welcome, and you can come right on over to the Discord. It's in the description under Discord. Yeah. Okay, we are going to sign off for the evening, guys, and I'm going to go back to watch the rest of 2004's Crash. Everybody should watch that. I'm going to upload it to Dropbox and just put the link onto the Discord server. So that's another great reason to come, because it's a fantastic movie. Really good, real tension builder. Like, there's sort of no story, nothing really happens, but a lot happens. And yeah, it's just all about tension, racism, corruption, meaning. I mean, it's just really good movie. I remember enjoying it 20 years ago, and now I'm enjoying it again. So you can enjoy it too. I will be putting the link onto Discord for the movie Crash. Yeah, other than that, we'll see you tomorrow evening. What is that, Saturday? Yeah, we'll be on for Saturday. Maybe a little later start. Maybe we'll start around 8:30 ish, but I'll put up a link of the day. Okay. And to everybody who's received their Don't Be an Adelson t-shirt already, fantastic. Great to see those pictures of people wearing the shirt. It's so crazy. We come up with a tagline, we make a shirt, people order it, they're wearing it, taking a picture of themselves and sending it back to the Discord. Fantastic, guys. Really good. And if anyone wants them themselves, you can get one at merch.truecrimemetrics.com. That's where all the merch is. Okay, we will see you tomorrow, guys. Signing off. Be kind to each other. Don't be an Adelson, and have a safe drive home, or a safe dinner, or a safe whatever you're going to be doing. Just, yeah, take it easy. Take it easy.